Alright, so today I'm going to show how to take out landmines using items. Now first off, you want to know how your item is dropping. So if you drop an item and you see it drops forward like this, the best method to do would be to jump at it like this and then drop it. As I'll demonstrate with the air horn here. Now the air horn is one of those items where it doesn't matter where you drop it. It'll pretty much take out the landmine like 90% of the time. There will be occasions where a landmine won't blow up when you drop it, but generally it will blow up a landmine. And a great example, as our next item here, the apparatus, as you can see, if you drop it on the landmine, like so, it won't actually explode. So what you have to do instead is get it right on the edge in order for the landmine to actually blow up like that. So one more thing I want to bring up before I begin is low ceilings. If for some reason there is a low ceiling, you won't be able to blow up a landmine that easily. Alright, and up next we have the beehive. The beehive is actually the best item to take out landmines. It has a very big hitbox, weighs nothing, and always just makes the landmine explode. Up next we have the bottles. Same as the apparatus, you kind of have to drop on the edge. It might take a few tries just because it's a very specific spot, but it shouldn't take too much effort. So bell is not one of those easy items like the air horn where when you drop it most of the time it will set off the landmine. Occasionally it won't be set off, but generally you'll be fine. Next we have candy here, and as you can see, just like the bell, it easily takes out landmines. Up next we have the cash register. Now, like the apparatus, you have to drop this item on like the edge of the landmine, and it's surprisingly safe. You would think, oh, I'm at 84 pounds, I'm gonna get blown up. But you have more than enough time to run away from the landmine before you actually get like killed by it. Alright, just like the apparatus, the chemical drug also needs to be dropped on the edge of the landmine in order for it to explode proper. Now, for the clown horn, you want to make sure you have max height while you're dropping it, because it would be really hard to set up the landmine without being able to hit max height. As you can see, it even go off right there. So this is one of the few items I don't recommend using on a landmine, unless you can get it on the edge, like so. Now, the coffee mug is another decent item for taking out landmines. You can pretty much drop it from a decent height and it will blow up. The company mask is an alright item to take out landmines, as long as you have enough height when you're jumping. Alright, up next we have the cookie mold pan, which is the same as most items. Just drop it from up high and the landmine will blow up. Now, if you're using the dustpan to destroy landmines, you're probably playing on experimentation. But as you can see here, the dustpan takes out landmines pretty easily. Now, the Easter egg is probably one of the safer options to take out landmines, just because you can throw it. And if it doesn't explode, you can throw it again. So the egg beater is one of those strange items because when you drop it, it kind of faces towards you. So it might be a little harder to take out the landmine with it, but it's still relatively safe. Just like the apparatus, the lamp here will have to be dropped near the edge of the landmine in order to take it out. Just like most small items, the flask can easily take out landmines as well. Up next, we have the gift box, which can be used to also take out landmines as well. And if for some reason you really want to, you can summon a gift and also have it explode. But that's a little unsafe, so be careful doing that. Yes, even with the gold bar, you can take out landmines pretty safely, as long as you're at 0 weight. Alright, up next we have the golden cup, which is a lot lighter than the gold bar, but it can be easily used to take out landmines as well. Here we have an odd looking hairbrush, but it can too be used to take out lines. Alright, up next we have the hairdryer, which is another easy item to take out a landmine with. For anyone that is curious, the flash from the flashbang won't set off the landmine even if you're this close to it. It will make your testing floor look a little awful though. And another thing to note, it's kind of like the apparatus where you need to drop it on the edge in order to blow it up. And with the smaller hitbox of the flashbang, it's kind of awful to destroy landmines with. So you might need to take a few tries just in order to do it proper. As you can see, it still didn't explode here. So this is one item I recommend not using, because it's actually really difficult to set off a mine with. Yeah, whatever. You get the point. I'm gonna move on to the next item. So my favorite item to destroy landmines with is Pickles. Just because of how silly it looks. You destroy a landmine with a jar of pickles, and the jar somehow survives the explosion. Plus, this was the first item that I was really consistent with destroying the landmines with. Up next is the kitchen knife. Now, the kitchen knife, just like the homemade flashbang, is a really hard item to use to take out landmines. In fact, I'm not even sure if it's possible. I haven't even gotten this thing to explode yet. There we go. I highly don't recommend using this item, but I can show a neat thing that no one's probably done yet. Where is it? You can stab a landmine that you've blown up, and it will keep making a sound like this won't go off. And they just have blood showing up everywhere. Really strange interaction, but I guess take note of that. Alright, up next we have the larger axle. And like the apparatus, you have to drop it on the edge in order to get the set off. But it's a little bit more difficult. Like, finding the sweet spot in this thing is a little awkward just because of how huge it is. There we go. So another item I really don't recommend blowing up landmines with. Now another item I don't recommend is the big bolt. Just because of how hard it is to set off the landmine as well. It's a little easier than a flashbang, but you still have to get on the edge in order for it to explode. Now the laser pointer is another decent item for taking out landmines. As you can see here. It's a little small, so you have to be a little bit more accurate, but it works pretty well. The Magic 7 ball, like most one-hand items, is pretty easy to destroy landmines with as well. You can drop it on the edge, you can drop it in the middle, and it should most likely explode. So Magnifying Glass, even though it's awful at actually magnifying things, is pretty decent for detonating landmines. So, another decent item, saying if you're playing offense, because you will find a lot of these in offense, is a metal sheet. Which is really nice for taking out landmines as well. Alright, so up next we have the old phone. And whoever's on the other side of that phone, now has no eardrums. Alright, up next we have the painting. And as you can see, just like the apparatus, you will need to drop it on the edge. Which might be a little harder with the painting, but we'll see. I was able to do it that time. Probably not an item I would recommend using. Up next we have the perfume bottle. Now, the perfume bottle might be a little bit of a harder item to drop on the landmine, but it will set it off once you drop it on there proper. Here, let's try again one more time. There we go. Probably an item I wouldn't recommend using unless you get used to how it drops. Just like the perfume bottle. The pill bottle is a little small, so you will have to be more accurate of how you're dropping it in order to blow up a landmine. The plastic fish is a decent item to take landmines out with. It is small, but it's a little bigger than the pill bottle and the perfume bottle, so it probably won't take as much accuracy, as you can see here. The red soda is also a pretty decent item, even if it is on the small side, as long as you aim it proper. Again, on the trend of small items, we have the remote. Now, the remote can be a little weird because it does like a little spin thing when you drop it. So you will have to aim it a little different than most items. I probably don't recommend the remote. Now, the robot toy is also pretty decent for taking out landmines. I've had a little bit of difficulty sometimes with them, but generally it will blow up the landmine when you drop it. Like most of the small items, the rubber duck can set off the landmine pretty easily. You just have to be able to aim it proper in order to do it. For anyone that is curious, you cannot shoot a landmine. And the shotgun's a little hard to actually get a landmine to detonate. So like the apparatus, you do have to drop it like near the edge. Which might take me a few tries, let's see here. It's a little awkward, but there we go. Now, unlike the shotgun shell can be dropped anywhere on the landmine, and it will explode. but it is kind of a small item, so I don't really recommend doing that. Now up next we have the steering wheel. And the steering wheel is a pretty decent item, unlike the big bolt. And it will blow up a landmine pretty much anywhere you drop it. So the stop sign is probably one of the worst items used to take out a landmine, because you have to drop it in a very specific spot, like near here. I'm not sure quite where, but it's somewhere around this area. And it's really hard to take out the stop sign using the shovel strat as well. Or take out a landmine, I should say. And as you can see, even when I drop it, I just can't get this thing to explode. Not easily anyways. It's possible, but it's not worth your time. You'd be better off using pretty much any other item than the stop sign. Now, the tea kettle is probably one of the better items to destroy a landmine with. Unlike the stop sign, you can easily set off the landmine with the tea kettle due to its size. For anyone who's curious about the teeth, if it can actually destroy a landmine while jumping around, it cannot. But if you're able to drop it on a landmine, you can detonate it. The only problem is it's kind of a small item, so I don't really recommend it. Alright, up next we have toothpaste. Now this is one of the easier items to drop on a landmine, just because of the length it has. So this is one of the items I actually would recommend using on a landmine. So a toy cube is probably one of the better items. It weighs nothing, it has a decent size to it. So it should be relatively easy to drop on a landmine. Okay, up next we have the tragedy mask. Now with the tragedy mask, I've had a little bit more difficulty actually getting the landmine to go off with it. And what you have to do, for some reason with this mask, you have to aim a little higher up when you're dropping it. And it should set off the landmine. Oh, a little bit of lag there, but I'm guessing it just doesn't bounce as high as a comedy mask. Now, with most two-handed items, the V-type engine also requires you to be on the edge when you drop it in order to get it to explode. Up next, with the wedding ring, we are going to drop the item. As you see, it explodes landmine easily as well. And that's the case with most items so far. There's just a few exceptions. With most items, the Whoopie Cushion can also set off landmine pretty easily. And it's a decent size enough, so I think this is okay. Alright, we're finally to the last scrap item, and that is the yield sign. And just like the stop sign, it is awful at taking out landmines. Because you have to drop it in a very specific spot in order just for it to explode. So, if the stop sign was the worst, this is the worst item now. Oh look, I actually got to explode though. But yeah, I don't recommend using the yield sign and the stop sign for this. So that's a little bonus since I showed off all the scrap items. I'll show off all the ship items as well, starting with the Boombox. The Boombox is pretty decent for taking out landmines. It's a pretty big size, so you don't have to use too much effort for destroying them. Alright, up next we have the Clipboard. Now, Clipboard can easily take out the landmines as well, which is really surprising. I thought for sure this would have been one of the more odder items, but it works just fine. Now, for anyone that is curious, if you try to set out the extension ladder like this, it will sadly not destroy the landmine. But the extension ladder itself, like this, destroys landmines really easily. Another item I would recommend if you want to destroy landmines. So the flashlight, you have to be max height when you're doing this, for the most part, but you can easily set off a landmine with a flashlight as well. Alright, up next is the Jetpack, which is a little stranger to blow up landmines, but works just as well if for some reason you want to do that. Alright, up next we have the key. It's a smaller hitbox, but it's easy enough to do. And with a larger hitbox, we have the Lockpicker, which is really easy to set off landmines with. Up next, we have the Pro Flashlight, which also takes out the landmines just as well as the normal flashlight. Up next, we have the Radar Booster named Freddy. And as we see here, he too can also take out landmines. So if you want to use for a Radar Booster, I guess you can just do that. And up next we have the shovel. And unlike the stop sign and yield sign, it is a lot easier to destroy a landmine by dropping a shovel like that. Or if you want to, you can do it the item drop way as well, which isn't as reliable with a shovel, but it's still doable. A lot better than the stop sign and yield sign by far. So probably the most common way people take out landmines is with a stun grenade, because you can easily just throw it like that. And if for some reason you want to try to drop it, it's just as bad as the flashbang if you were dropping it, so just throw them. So if you feel like it, you can also take out a landmine with a sticky note, which looks kind of silly. Alright, and up next we have the TZP-Inhalant. And like most items on the ship so far, you can easily take out a landmine for that as well. And just like everything else so far, it's an easy item to take out landmines with. So, if anyone is curious, spraying a landmine does not make it explode. You can make it nice and colorful if you want. But like everything else, you can also destroy landmines just by dropping items on top of it like that. And of course, the last item I'm going to talk about is the Zap Gun. You can't zap landmines, unfortunately, but you can drop the Zap Gun on the landmine and it will explode just as well. Alright, that is every item in version 50, which took a lot of testing, so if it wasn't for Imperium, this testing would have took so much longer, and well, I probably wouldn't have done this video if it wasn't for that mod. A thing I do want to bring up is that this is a really controlled environment. I can jump around, not hit my head, and I can run around and not run into pipes. So, if you're not getting like your max jump height, the results will probably vary on how you're destroying landmines. So, do make note of that. And it would probably be a lot easier to do as a mainer, honestly, because you usually don't have to worry about bumping your head. But yeah, I'm going to end it on that note, so I'll see y'all later.